in a beautiful place in chapter 2, wherein Arjuna is, he's still trying to say to Lord Krishna, how can I kill my gurus? How can I defeat my gurus? Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan. And he says, how can I, it's better if I take bhiksha. It's better if I take bhiksha rather than defeat my gurus in the battlefield. And he says, I can't do this because even if I gain the kingdom, even if I gain wealth, everything will be stained with blood, with Bhishma and Drona's blood. And how can I even think about that? And he goes on to say, I don't know which is better, whether they defeat us or we defeat them. And so he's saying all of these things to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna is just silent. And in the 7th verse, which I told you was very important, we learned that Arjuna really now looks at Lord Krishna and he says to Lord Krishna, listen, Lord Krishna, I have a problem. And we saw last week how this is really special. There are 3 kinds of students we saw. The one that denies that there's a problem, denies that there's anything wrong with them. And because they deny that there's anything wrong with them, then they don't see any need to fix anything. But there's the student then who accepts that there's a problem. And those who accept that there's a problem, they can really then do something about it. Like Arjuna, when we accept that, you know what, I'm feeling this way. You know what, I have something wrong here. When we're able to accept, then we can do something. There are also those who accept but choose not to do something, like Duryodhana. And the best student we also saw was Lakshmana, who from far saw that there is this thing called Maya, and I don't want to be baffled by this. So let me be careful. So that's the most unique thing about Arjuna is first, he accepts. He accepts that, you know what, I'm going through something. Not only does he accept, but he detects. He does his own diagnosis. He says, this is my problem. What is my problem? Dharma sambudha chetaha. There is dharma. And for sure, I have studied the Dharma Shastras. I know what is Dharma. I have read through it before. But Sambudha Chetaha, my mind is deluded in the sense that I know what I'm supposed to do. I think I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't do this. I can't fight this battle. And so he says, I'm Dharma Sambudha Chetaha. And he says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha. He says, apahata, I've been, my swabhava, my nature as a kshatriya has as though apahata, has been kidnapped by karpanya dosha. This feeling of misery, this feeling of a pitiable state, it has been kidnapped by that. And I don't know what to do. This is who I am right now. So he gives Lord Krishna a very apt diagnosis. He accepts that he has a problem and he also knows the extent of his problem. He says, I'm just unable to do it. And he says, that's why prichami tvam. That's why I am asking you. Because right now I'm in a deluded state. I'm not sure I'm going to do the right thing. But I want you to tell me, yat shreyat syat nishchitam bruhi tanme. He says, yat shreyas, that which is shreyas, and we will define shreyas soon. Yat shreyas syat nishchitam, tell me determinedly, bruhi. Bruhi means tell me. Tat me, tell me that. But Lord Krishna already told him. Lord Krishna said, Klaibhya masmagama partaha naitat vayupapadyate. This doesn't befit you, Arjuna. This behavior that you've put upon yourself, it doesn't befit you. So better get up. Utishta parantapa. Get up. He did say it to Arjuna, but Arjuna is saying, Nishchitam Bruhi. Tell me in such a way that I am convinced. Because sometimes if we say something once, it's not enough. Tell me in a way that it's convinced and where it can really hit the spot. Tell me where it can hit my spot. I want you to tell me that way. Again and again, determinedly, clearly, until I am convinced. And he says, you tell me what is Shreyas. Because right now, I'm deluded. I'm deluded. I'm not seeing clearly. What is Shreyas? In Kathopanishad, it says very beautifully that there are two paths for everybody. One is the path of Shreyas. Shreyas is the path of good, it's translated as. One is Preyas, the path of the pleasant. So Kathopanishad says every time we are at these crossroads where there are two paths, Shreyas and Preyas. And sometimes what is Shreyas looks Preyas, and what is Preyas looks Shreyas. And so it is very hard to determine what is what. Who can do it? Vivinakti dhiraha. In Kathopanishad, it says, a dhiraha, a wise person, is somebody who can really distinguish what is Shreyas and what is Preyas. And the ones who distinguish Shreyas and Preyas, they look for key points, key segments to determine what is good. Because what is good can be construed as so many things. But how do we really know what's good? So there's a beautiful formula that I always share, and it helps in determining what is the right cause of action right now in this moment. The simple formula, of course, is RT, RP, RT, right? Dharma. With Shreyas, there's a formula called smile. So anytime where we are dharma samudha chetaha, where we are deluded and we don't know what is right, think about this formula and it will help us see things in this light. How do the wise people think? This is how they think. Shreyas starts with the letter S. S stands for Shreyas, the Shreyas people. All of the wise people have some role model or the other. They have someone that they look up to. They have someone who they follow. So the number one thing in Shreyas is look at what the Shreyas people did in that particular field, that particular place where I have to make a decision. What did the Shreyas people do? And this we see in our katha, in our Puranas, in our itihasas. Every time they say, what do we do in this situation? Oh, do you know in this story, Naradaji would say, in this story, this person, this is how he reacted or how she responded. And he would tell the story and then we would understand, okay, that is what Shreyas is. And very often when we have such role models to look up to, we say, that is what Shreyas is. So the first thing, that letter S, is, what did the Shreyas people do? How did they live their lives? And therefore, a wise person always has a wiser person to refer to. That's very important. In our lives, it is best to have wiser people, people who are better than us, people who have grown more than us, people who are beyond us, that we can go to so that we can be elevated. If we do not have that, or if we are stuck in some ego that we know what's best, we will never evolve. So S means Shreyas. What did the Shreyas people do? That M, the next letter is M. That M means what is going to benefit most people. This is how a Shreyas person or a wise person thinks. It's not what's going to benefit me. That is very selfish. What I feel like doing, what I want to do. You know, it is all the people who are involved in this particular circumstance, what is going to benefit them? If we think about what's going to benefit minimum, that is called prayas. When people make decisions just considering a few key people, just to benefit a few key people financially, or to give them power, or to give them benefits, that is called prayas. But when we're thinking about maximum, those people who are maximum involved at that present circumstance, that is called shreyas. So the thinking will come away from what I want, what I feel, what I think, to what benefits most. It comes away from that individual to totality. This is how a wise person thinks. We've done S, we've done M. What is the I? The I means that the Shreyas, or the wise person, uses their intellect to decide over their impulses. In the heat of the moment, we all have impulses. We all make impulsive decisions. When we are tired, when we are exhausted, we just say things. When the mind is disturbed, we just look a certain way. We slam the door, we walk away. When there are these impulsive moments and when we act out of those impulses, most of the times they're all wrong. They're all wrong because they're coming from no clarity. They're coming from just emotion, just I want to express whatever emotion is there. When I use my intellect, I do express my emotion, but with clarity, at the appropriate place, time, and way. Our Shastra is not against expressing emotion. It is necessary and it is a very healthy part of life. But there's a very big difference between expressing emotion in the right way, in the right place, in the right situation, versus being overpowered by emotion. So what a wise person does is uses their intellect so that they express that emotion, express that thought with clarity and with objectivity, and not going here and there and out of nowhere. This is called a wise person. S, M, I. How does a wise person think? What is L? L means a wise person always thinks long term. Yes, short term, it's hard not to think short term when there's something in front of you that you just want to eat. Oh, I just want to relish it. I just want to eat it. When there's someone in front of you and you just want to speak up. Oh, I just want to say it. It's hard not to think short term because we're so used to short term pleasure, short term moments, short term joy. But remember, in the 18th chapter, those of us who studied together, remember what the short-term joy is. In the beginning, it's like nectar, but towards the end, it's like poison. It's like poison because we suffer from those short-term moments. We suffer so much guilt. We suffer so much regret. We suffer so much pain because of those short-term moments that we just felt like we just needed to do something. So in that heat of the moment, yes, it might feel like it's nectar. It might feel like it's release. But please think about the poison that's going to follow. That deep regret, that deep guilt, that deep sorrow. Can one live with that? So therefore, the Shreyas person, even if upon doing an action, in the beginning, it's like poison. It's hard, it's tough, but slowly at the end, it becomes nectar. It becomes nectar, but it takes time. Like our daily sadhana, it's not easy all the time to sit quietly, to chant a mantra, to close our eyes, to be in silence. It's not easy. It's not easy to be regular. It's not easy to be consistent. It's not easy to study. But when we take these things that do or are painful or are like poison in the beginning, as time goes, they become like nectar. They become like nectar. And this wise person has that foresight that, now it might be like poison, it might be like total poison, but hang on, stay there, keep walking, and you will find nectar. You will find drops of nectar on the path. So we've done S, M, I, L. What is E? E means it's going to take me towards evolution. It's going to make me evolve. That which makes someone evolve, that which makes us evolve to the higher, that is called Shreyas. It's very simple. When I decide, should I do this or should I do that? What is going to help us evolve? What is going to help us realize the self? What is going to help us get to the goal? If it's going to help us, by all means, do it. If it's not going to help us, why do it? Why do it? So therefore, a wise person keeps these things in mind whenever they are faced with a decision and they are not clear. They have delusion. S, what is Shreyas? What do the wise people do? M, what is it that benefits most? I, it's guided by one's intellect, by clarity. L, think about long-term benefits. And E, what's going to make me evolve? What's going to make all of us evolve? And you will find that in life, decisions become easier when we have a set goal. So when our goal in life is very clear, for example, our goal in life could be moksha, should be moksha, but if it's not moksha, it's totally okay. It could be self-development, right? So if the goal is very clear that it could be maybe moksha, self-realization, or it could be self-development, okay, or it could be being the best that I can be, or evolving as far as I can. If that goal is very clear, then decision making is very quick and easy. It's not hard at all. But if that goal is not clear, it means that I'm going to have a tough time making decisions. So if I do have tough time making decisions, it's probably because my goal isn't clear. It's probably because my goal keeps shifting. It shifts from here, shifts from there, shifts from here, shifts from there. And that's why it's a little tough. So Arjuna here is saying, Yat Shreyas Syat Nishchitam Bruhi. Yat Shreyas, that which is Shreyas, which I have just explained to you, Syat, that which is Nishchitam. Tell me with utter conviction where I become convinced, Bruhi, Tanme, you tell me that. And very beautifully, now Arjuna, so he analyzes, he accepts that he has a problem. He detects what his problem is, and he's seeking a solution. Now, in the third line, what does he do? He does the most beautiful thing, is he surrenders. He says, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. The third and fourth line, he says, I, Arjuna, am now your Shishya. He changes the relationship. I will just take a few more moments to finish this verse in its entirety. I hope you can stay with me till I complete this thought. Arjuna and Krishna were best friends, and they were also cousins, and they were similar in age. As I told you, they would have been about 75 or so. They ate together, they slept together, they played together, they did everything together. And in this particular verse, Arjuna says, now, Bhagavan Krishna, we're changing the relationship. I now want to become your Shishya. I am your student. And therefore, Shadhi, Mom means instruct me. Shishyaha te aham means I am your student. Shadhi Mam, instruct me. Tvam prapannam, I take refuge in you. So he says, now it's a different bhava. I'm not this friend that you used to hang out with like before. Now I am this Arjuna who's come to you as a student, which means I am open. I am ready for you to fill me in. I am asking. I am asking for your advice. This is the best quality of a student. A student is a shishya, means a student. Shishya means the one who is very disciplined. But the one who is very disciplined is not only the quality of the student, the one who surrenders is the quality of the student. Because only when one really surrenders, then the Guru can teach. If you'll notice in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna didn't really say anything to Arjuna. Why? Because wise people don't give advice if you don't ask. They stay out of it. They don't interfere. They don't interfere because they know that maybe you won't listen because there's no surrender. So he doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything. He's just observant, just listening, just listening. And when he sees Arjuna's totally broken down, he tries to whip him up and then he doesn't say anything again. But now when Arjuna actually says, Shishyaha te aham, I surrender to you, Shadhi, instruct me. Shadhi mam tvam prapannam, I seek refuge in you, Lord Krishna. And only because Arjuna surrenders, Lord Krishna will thus speak. So now you can just see how this Bhagavad Gita is. If Arjuna did not surrender, if Arjuna did not ask, we would have never gotten the Bhagavad Gita. And that's a fact. What does it tell you and I as students? When we refuse to surrender, when we refuse to seek advice from those who are wise. Who is wise? The one who knows what's Shreya. We miss out. When we think we know everything, when we think we know what we're doing, when we think we've got it all covered, we miss out. But when we approach someone who's wise, someone who has clarity and conviction, we gain so much. Because wise people don't open their mouth to anybody. They only open their mouth to those who surrender. A wise person, be it a man or a woman, they have gems hidden in them. They have so much depth of knowledge, depth of clarity of experience. So much is in them, but they will not say. And they will only speak to those who ask, because they are the ones who will truly listen. This is the glory of the student Arjuna. And one more thought to his glory. He doesn't say, Lord Krishna, that you are my refuge also. He says, you are my refuge only. Not Tvam api sharanam. Not you also are my refuge. Tvam eva sharanam. You alone are my refuge. Many of us, we surrender, but our surrender is half-hearted, 20%, 30%, 40%, because we surrender to so many things. I surrender to this, I surrender to that, I surrender to this, I surrender to so many things. And therefore, what will we get? We will get half-hearted things also. But you keep one Bhagavan who comes in the form of Guru, that Bhagavan is also Guru, and you surrender to that one wholly, completely, totally, and you will get wholly, completely, and totally. So for today, I just want you to reflect deeply on this beautiful verse. And then, next week when we meet, I should be back wherever I'm situated. And we will go deeper into the Bhagavad Gita. And then slowly we will make our way to Lord Krishna's brilliant, most brilliant advice, which is something that I cherish very much in my heart. Okay? So I apologize again today. Lots of things going on here. But I didn't know what was happening. It was that kind of situation where moment to moment. So I appreciate your patience. Today we won't have any questions, but just I leave you with that thought, and we will meet again next week. Okay? I will say closing prayers, and I wish all of you Happy New Year. To many, there's Cheti Chand, there's Guri Parva, there's Ugadi. All of our New Years are coming. I wish you a grand Navaratri as it is coming, and Sri Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti. And Dina Ji will send an email, or I don't know if she sent already, about Hanuman Jayanti. So I hope to see you there. And yes, we'll end now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.